Yep. And in person.
What you writing down now? It's the end of it. What you writing down? What are you writing a note to?
Yeah.
To yourself. Glasses on like you really.
To yourself. Hey guys, we're back with another one. This is JJ and Nat.
What up?
What up? How y'all doing? We're going to be covering the final, the closing, the seal of this case, the closing arguments of Ms. Camille Vasquez and Ben Chew. And we're going to see, like how they're going to bring it home, man. I mean, I think they've really pretty much smashed it out of the park anyway and got a home run. I think they're doing awesome. I think that this was an extremely difficult case. It was very long, drawn out, but they stuck to their guns. So, I mean, we got to see what old girl's going to bring, because she's definitely been fumbling and stumbling and bumbling. So, we'll see. Yeah. What you think?
Yeah, I want to see the closing arguments. These are just the highlights, but we're going to get into it and see, how Johnny's team, wrap this thing on up. So,
I want to know.
If you guys are new to the channel, go down, man, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, man. Give us a like, thumbs up, thumbs down. It don't matter, man. Just come through, man.
Just give some love or don't. Either way, we love you. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Let's get into it.
On May 27th, 2016, Ms. Heard walked into a courthouse in Los Angeles, California, to get a no-notice ex-parte restraining order against Mr. Depp. And in doing so, ruined his life by falsely telling the world that she was a survivor of domestic abuse at the hands of Mr. Depp.
Mockery.
Today, on May 27th, 2022, exactly 6 years later, we ask you to give Mr. Depp his life back by telling the world that Mr. Depp is not the abuser Ms. Heard said he is, and hold Ms. Heard accountable for her lies. Now it's time for you, the jury, to come to a decision. You have been entrusted with a serious task. What is at stake in this trial is a man's good name. Even more than that, what is at stake at this trial is a man's life. The life that he lost when he was accused of a heinous crime, and the life he could live when he is finally vindicated. Exactly 6 years ago today, on May 27th, 2016, Ms. Heard walked into court and filed a false report of domestic abuse against her husband of 15 months.
Not to mention all the perjury she committed.
The scene was a setup.
15 months.
She tipped off the paparazzi so they would be waiting. They knew exactly where she would pause, which side of her face to photograph. And the photos captured what she wanted them to see, the image of a battered woman. What the paparazzi did not know is that the dark mark on her face mysteriously appeared 6 days after last seeing Mr. Depp. It was a lie. She knew it, Mr. Depp knew it, and the multiple witnesses you heard from who saw her that week of May 21st, 2016, also knew it. But the world only saw what she wanted them to see. 2 years later, when promoting the biggest role of her career until this trial, Ms. Heard presented herself to the world as a public figure representing domestic abuse.
You look tired.
The headline of the op-ed featured the term sexual violence, even though she had never before accused her ex-husband of such a heinous crime.
You liked it.
Ms. Heard and her lawyers love to remind you of how the op-ed did not mention Mr. Depp by name. But Ms. Heard made sure that there would be no mistake about who she was referring to. She inserted 2 years ago, so the world would remember the photo of a battered woman, the mark on her face, standing outside the courthouse, and they would once again see Mr. Depp as the villain, this time in full swing of the Me Too movement. But what was happening behind closed doors was quite different from what Ms. Heard presented to the world. The exact opposite, in fact. There is an abuser in this courtroom.
Where's she at?
But it is not Mr. Depp. And there is a victim of domestic abuse in this courtroom, but it is not Ms. Heard.
Exactly.
The evidence presented at this trial has shown that Ms. Heard is in fact the abuser, and Mr. Depp the abused. As you heard from Mr. Depp and multiple other witnesses that testified under oath at this trial, Mr. Depp experienced persistent verbal, physical, and emotional abuse by Ms. Heard during their relationship. You heard from Mr. Depp about how often Ms. Heard would berate him, insult him, and physically attack him, including one of the most serious occasions when Ms. Heard threw a vodka bottle at Mr. Depp, severely injuring his finger, and then put a cigarette out on his face. You heard from Mr. Depp that this whole incident in Australia started because Ms. Heard was enraged that Mr. Depp wanted a post-nuptial agreement, and she wasn't in his will. Just a month after getting
Hey,
married.
watch out.
You also
Yep.
heard from Tara
trying to take
Roberts,
my
a
money,
manager
girl.
at Mr.
Yeah.
Depp's island, who
She
witnessed
said,
Ms.
"I'm
Heard
plotting and
telling
plotting."
Mr. Depp that he was washed up and would die fat and lonely. You also heard from Ms. Roberts that she witnessed Ms. Heard clawing and grabbing at Mr. Depp, grabbing his hair, trying to pull him back to her, and Mr. Depp had a visible injury to his nose on that occasion. Most importantly, you heard from Ms. Heard yourselves
Right.
on multiple audio recordings, admitting to being
Yep.
physically violent
Yep.
with Mr. Depp.
And in person.
What you didn't hear.
What you writing
on a
down now?
single
It's the
recording
end of it.
you
What
heard
you
in this
write down?
case.
What are you
And there
writing
were
a
many
note to?
played by both
Yeah.
parties.
To
the
yourself.
glasses
Mr. Depp
on like you
ever
really-
admitting
To yourself.
to
To
hitting,
yourself.
punching, or kicking
I'm
Ms. Heard.
full of ish.
You didn't
I don't
hear
know
it.
why.
It doesn't
Love,
exist.
Amber.
It didn't happen.
I love myself.
And despite the fact that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard are heard discussing many of the
She's probably
alleged
drawing some
incidents you've
birds
heard
and
about
some
at this trial,
hearts.
like Australia and the
Stick
Bahamas,
figures.
you never heard Ms. Heard accuse Mr. Depp
One
of
stick
sexual
figure,
assault.
Johnny hanging.
Unlike Mr. Depp, who you heard admit to and own up to his past mistakes
love
and his
lavender.
struggles,
Such a
particularly with
lovely
drugs and
color.
alcohol.
Should've
Ms. Heard will
worn
not admit
black today
that she
instead
has
of
never
gray
done that she has ever done anything
Johnny's
wrong.
funeral.
But she cannot deny what you heard on those recordings. As much as Ms. Heard and her lawyers have tried to make this case about Mr. Depp's language, it is Ms. Heard that repeatedly admits to violence. When you catch Ms. Heard in a lie, she tries to cover it up with more lies. So let's talk about the giant lie
Let's get into
at the
it.
heart of
Let's
this
get
case.
into it.
Ms. Heard's claim that Mr. Depp is an abusive monster and that she is a public figure representing domestic abuse. She spun a story of shocking,
I'm
overwhelming,
poster child
brutal abuse.
For punch.
She came into this courtroom
Look at
prepared
me.
to give the performance of her life, and she gave it. Ms. Heard's acting coach, Christina Sexton, testified that Ms. Heard has difficulty crying when she is acting.
She
saw
sure
it.
could cry up here.
Ms. Heard sobbing without tears, while spinning elaborate, exaggerated, fantastical accounts of
Nothing.
abuse. And
Amber,
everything going
come
on
on,
in
this
her
is take
mind
72.
almost a
Let's try
decade
again.
prior while enduring that abuse. It was a performance. What we have is a mountain of unproven allegations that are wild, over the top, and implausible. And you can't pick and choose which of these wild
Do you have
allegations to
some of that
believe
clear eyes?
and which
I
ones to
can put some
disregard.
of those in my eyes.
You either believe all of it or none of it. Either Mr. Depp sexually assaulted Ms. Heard with a bottle in Australia, or Ms. Heard got up on that stand in front of all of you and made up that horrific tale of abuse. Either she's a victim of truly horrific abuse, or she is a woman who is willing to say absolutely
Yes.
Right.
but this case doesn't come down to whether you believe Ms. Heard or you believe Mr. Depp. This case comes down to whether you believe Ms. Heard or you believe Mr. Depp, Christy Dombrowski, Sean Bett, Malcolm Connolly, Travis McGivern, Starling Jenkins, Keenan Wyatt, Dr. Kipper, nurses Debbie Lloyd and Aaron Filati, Tara Roberts, Ben
Let's
King,
go.
Kate
Do it.
James, Kate
Yes.
Moss, Dr.
Uh-huh.
Colber, Morgan
Dr.
Knight,
Curry.
Morgan Tremaine, Officers Melissa Sines, Officers Tyler Haddon,
List.
Officer William Gatlin, and Beverly Leonard. What Ms. Heard testified to in this courtroom is the story of far too many women. But the overwhelming evidence and weight of that evidence shows that it is not her story. It's not Ms. Heard's story. It was an act of profound cruelty, not just to Mr. Depp, but to true survivors of domestic abuse. For Ms. Heard to hold herself out as a public figure representing domestic abuse. It was false, it was defamatory, and it caused irreparable harm.
Defamatory. Yes.
And to talk more about that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague and my friend, Mr.
Boom!
As Ms. Vasquez said, you have now come to know the real Amber Heard. Scary. We also told you at the start of this trial that you were going to come to know the real Johnny Depp, not
Told the truth.
the many characters you've seen him
I hit
play
myself that one time.
so wonderfully
That
in the
doesn't have
movies,
anything to
but
do
the
with
man
this.
himself.
What you mad? You
You kept
upset?
that promise. You've met the real Johnny Depp. Before Amber Heard, ladies and gentlemen, no woman ever before Amber Heard ever claimed that Mr. Depp raised a hand to her in his 58 years.
Exactly.
And no other woman since Ms. Heard made that false claim back on May 27th, 2016.
Talk about it.
And repeated it in her December 2018 op-ed. Has any woman come forward since? This is Me Too without any Me Too. To the contrary,
yourself.
ladies and gentlemen,
Hashtag
you
Me
heard
Too,
Kate Moss
not
2
Me Too.
days ago testify. This is a woman who has never testified in any proceeding, ever. A very private person.
Yep.
Testified that Mr. Depp never abused her and that Ms. Heard lied to you. And she lied to you twice.
Yep.
Beyond the personal and emotional effects of Ms. Heard's lies, their impact on Mr. Depp and his family, the damage she inflicted on his reputation and career is undeniable. There's an old saying that a good reputation takes a lifetime to build, but only a second.
Yes.
And that's all it took.
Mr.
And she knew
Depp
that.
spent, in fact, a
Drink that
lifetime
water.
building
Yeah.
his
You little
reputation
liar.
as one of the greatest actors and movie
I know
stars
you're
of his
thirsty.
generation. An iconic figure
All those
respected
lies.
and liked
that orange stuff,
throughout
Johnny
Hollywood
Depp?
and recognized and
He said,
admired
"I
throughout the
give you
world.
electrolytes. I'm gonna
As
win
you've
today."
heard in this case, Amber Heard is not a true victim, and Mr. Depp certainly is not an abuser. Again, nobody has come out of the woodwork to say Me Too. This is the unique and singular Me Too case where there's not a single
Me Too, yeah.
Me Too. While Mr. Depp's name will be forever tarnished by these horrendous and false allegations, this case is about telling you his story and the truth about what really happened, which you've now
I feel
heard.
so bad for him.
It is about
Because it's just unfair. He's
restoring
always kept
his
his
lost
life private.
reputation.
He's not a guy that's
It's
doing
about
all this
showing
stuff,
Mr. Depp's children
showing all his business
Lily
in
Rose
public.
and Jack.
And for her to do him like this,
the
it's
truth is worth
unforgivable,
fighting for.
in my opinion.
Yeah, she's
It is.
mad because he ain't want it no more.
And it's about restoring Mr. Depp's name and standing in the community to the fullest extent that you can. And you can do something. And only you, ladies and gentlemen, can do that for him.
Get me out of here.
You heard from Mr. Depp yesterday that he has been carrying these outlandish, outrageous stories on his back, pretty stoically, and living them with them for 6 years, and waiting to be able to bring his truth out. And he has told you the truth, the unvarnished truth, even truth
The
that
unvarnished. The
pretty embarrassing. He knew that was going to happen.
Dictionary.
when he brought this
I don't know
case.
that word.
You've seen the evidence
think
in this
it's
case over
maybe
6
the
long weeks,
unwavering
which we
truth
again
that
thank
the-
you for. That evidence shows overwhelmingly
Ugly
that
truth,
Ms.
I don't know.
Heard's attempt to paint herself as a heroic survivor, an innocent survivor, and Mr. Depp as a terrifying abuser are utterly false. We ask you to please return your verdict for Mr. Depp. We ask you, we implore you to give him his name, his reputation, and his career
Man, for
back.
sure.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man, for sure. That's what I'm talking about.
Now that's
exactly
representation
what I'm
right
talking
there.
about.
Yeah, that's representation.
Because
Yeah.
ain't no dang on way in the world that this could come out in any other, like, it's clear she has lied multiple, and this is another thing I want to talk about before I even get into that. This lady has obviously committed perjury. She's testifying in the courtroom under an oath, and she's blatantly just lying. So what are we going to do about, like, what happens? Because I don't want at the end of this to where, okay, it comes out that Johnny's name was clear and everything is good, and it comes out that he didn't do this to her. But what then happens to the woman that's come forth and started all of this mess to begin with?
That's right.
It shouldn't just go away. Oh, she lied. Or what? No, because if all of this, because if let's say his team didn't have their stuff together and he came out and he would get sentenced, he probably would have to do some jail time. Ain't no telling what would happen, because she accused this man of domestic violence, sexual assault, and like all this stuff that she accused this dude of. He would probably do some jail time for that. So what happens now with her bringing up all of this crap? There should be consequences for her doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, we don't really know what they feel is necessary, what kind of force is necessary to apply for her wrongdoing. So I don't know what they're going to do with her. If I were Johnny, I would not let that go. There's no way in hell I'm going to sit here and not go after you for that. You know, again, I'm not doing it. You need to be exposed and responsible for what you've done to me and my life.
I don't know if the court already has something set up when you come, and
God,
I mean, you have to, you know, of course, perjury. But if you commit perjury, like, at what are the extent of the consequences for doing so?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like his name was cleared and she gets a freaking pat on the back and to be able to go out there and do this to somebody
and work
else.
And
the
do
thing
all
is,
stuff.
next time she may actually do it even better. So instead of her using makeup and all this other kind of stuff to put on her face and make it look like somebody did something, maybe this time she may actually inflict damage onto herself to say that someone else did it. She said, okay, I know where I messed up last time. This time I'm not gonna mess up. I'm gonna punch myself in the nose. I'm gonna bang myself up against the wall. I'll make sure that I have this physical damage, and then go make sure I go to everything that I did wrong. Make sure I do the opposite this time and put it off on somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It's just a difficult situation, man. And unfortunately, we look at the law and we see it as a place where justice is supposed to happen, and it's not always just. And that's the thing. There are a lot of deals and a lot of secret conversations and, you know, work, you know, with the judge and the lawyers and all this stuff that could come out to a decision that is completely unjust. So, you know, we're hoping that the justice system does its job, and we're hoping that Johnny can be vindicated in the highest form, and that she will have to suffer her decisions. So that's what we hope for. That's what we pray for. So, you know, just keep this situation in y'all's thoughts and prayers, because it's one of those things that, you know, is gonna, unfortunately, like they said, haunt Johnny.
Yeah, and then it's not only that, it's going to, now with any other, especially now with this being a male allegedly, you know, having abuse on the female, what's going to happen when all these other people come forth that are actually going through this situation for real?
Mm-hmm.
People are going to think about, oh, remember what Amber Heard did. Mm-hmm. So not only are you're trying to mess up this man's name, you're then going to have someone who's actually in a situation that actually needs help. Now they're going to be second guessed. Which, I mean, you shouldn't automatically believe somebody just because they say that they're being abused. But the thing is, now you're really going to have people like really second guessing those people who actually need the help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the other big thing that, you know, that she's done is people are going to think about that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just look at the whole Bill Cosby thing. And, I mean, you're talking about women banding together in masses. Just 30 plus years, some of these women, 40 years plus, coming out, you know, as a 6-year-old woman saying he did this, he did this, he did this, he did this, you know. So of course, overwhelmingly, what choice does the court have? You know what I'm saying? But to say, well, obviously, you know, but this man has one psychotic, sociopathic woman coming out who happened to be his wife for less than 2 years, saying, he did this to me, he did that to me, and this and that, and all this stuff. And how convenient that she did it in the timing that she did it. And she didn't, I guess 2 years was too long with Johnny, obviously. Because, you know, she was like, okay, it's time to execute. It's time to execute Plan X. Because, like...
Found out she won in that wheel. She was like, what?
That's crazy. And that shows her motivation. That shows what you were really in it for. You
right.
know?
And that's why she keeps saying all along throughout the trial, oh, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the money.
Yeah, it's about the money. Why haven't you paid the charities then? Why haven't you did your part like you said you were? Why are you suing for such a large mass of money for Johnny Depp if it's not about the money? What if it's if you just want it to be brought out, then focus on that. But no, you want to get your cake and eat it too. That's what you want. That's what you're used to getting. But this ain't that this ain't that stage, baby girl. That ain't gonna fly. Cause we see through you. That's it.
So man, that's all we got for this one. We're gonna be doing the closing arguments from her side too. So guys, stay tuned for that one because we're gonna be checking that out as well, man.
Look out.
And if there's any other videos y'all want us to react to dealing with this trial that we haven't done yet, man, put it down in the comment section, man. Let us know if y'all have a link to that video or anything like that. Put it down there. We will be looking at those videos and checking them out and reacting to them and getting those things posted, man. So again, thanks for spending some time with us. If you haven't subscribed, man, go down and hit that subscribe button. For our returning subscribers, man, we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us, man. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right.